Hey everybody, so we're going to take a different view today. We're not talking about open door, we're talking about the stock market and what happened. Let's analyze it and see where we go from here. Because is this the stock bubble? Is this the AI tech bubble that they're talking about? Not really. This is more about the tariffs with the US and China and the implications that it can have on the economy, China and the U.S. economy. So let's take a look at the chart and some news. I want to explain to you what's really going on. So here we go. We have the Mag 7. We have the Qs right here. 613 high, low right now, 583. Microsoft, 531, all the way down to 508. Nvidia was having a nice run today. A lot of good news about the semiconductor and Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of news about that. But it doesn't really matter now because of this tariff news going around. It went to 195.62. People thought it was going to hit $200 maybe today or early next week. I don't see that happening at the moment unless things get better between U.S. and China for us to trade. It went from 195 all the way to 179. It got hit hard because it's a huge focal point about the news that's going on for the tariffs. Apple, straight down. Broadcom, Amazon. Amazon's going to go down because China tariff. Very strong relation between China and Amazon and different products. Google, went down not too much, 244 to 235. Tesla, going to hurt Tesla as well a lot. 443 all the way down to 403. May go lower. I have a support here I drew a long time ago at the 401. Will it hit support there and hold? I don't know. We have to see. But this was a resistance a long time ago back in September, and it broke that resistance right here. And it kept going up. So now 401 will be the support, but it could go lower. Netflix, 1247, now 1214. Meta is going to be a huge hit. Meta's already been going down a lot already. It was at 795 not too long ago. Now it's at 694, almost $100 decline from Meta. Costco was having a little bit of run, about a 2-3 day run. It went from 909 to 945, and now it's back at 923. So a lot is going on, and nobody was spared. Let's check out Open Door Technology real quick. Open Door Technology, it was at $8.21. Now it's at $7.01 low for after hours. Now it's at $7.14. We thought Open Door would close over $8. It was trying to. It went to $7.89, $7.88. But, we had a feeling that the market is going to sell off end of day because we don't know what kind of news is going to hit during the weekend. So that's why Open Door went down and a lot of other stocks as well. So pretty much almost every stock closed down today in the red. So the first time we had a tariff issue between U.S. and China was right around this area. February, March, April. And we had this decline right here. Don't know if it's going to happen again. But the Qs went from 538 all the way down to 401. Will we get the same thing? Only way we'll get the same thing is if this gets bigger and bigger. It gets worse and worse. And there's no resolution to it. Then this could happen again. And if it did, I probably see it going down to maybe around the 530 area. That will only happen if this doesn't get resolved quickly. And you gotta remember, this tariff issue is just not a trade issue. It's just going to hurt the economy where the economy is already hurting already. At the moment, we're in a shutdown. We're not getting any data reports about the economy. The housing industry is looking bad right now. And now we have this dispute between U.S. and China. So this is going to hurt the economy in the U.S. even more, and China as well. But real quick, before we get to the news, gold, that closed green. Closed green after hours is up also 0.24%. This is the SPDR GLD ETF for gold, and gold went up when the market was going down right here at 230. Gold was going up, and that's when the market had a dump around 230. But gold is up a lot already, a huge run in gold. So will it keep going up? Will it continue? Before we get to the news that's current today, quick AI overview. The stock market declined in March 2025 due to significant uncertainty, which is what we have right now around new tariffs, which is also what we have right now. New tariffs from China and U.S., which investors feared would trigger an economic downturn and harm businesses. So this is like a repeat, like deja vu from before. This was compounded by deteriorating economic indicators, including a steep drop in consumer sentiment and fears of inflation. A broad sell-off also occurred in the tech sector, driven by these factors and concerns about the future market volatility. So What happened in March 2025 is happening right now. So first key point, China has tightened export controls on rare earth and related technologies while barring citizens from participating in unauthorized mining overseas. The latest move is a major upgrade for rare earth export control, expanding restrictions from only raw materials to intellectual properties and technologies. And this was weeks just before they were going to meet. The US and China was going to meet. And here's the key point that I want to show you right here. Huge article, but this is one of the most important things right here, this paragraph. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to show you. Rare earths are critical to high-tech industries, including automobiles, defense, and semiconductor. So automobiles, defense, and semiconductors, very critical. These rare earths. Tightened access to rare earths has disrupted international supply chains caught in the US-China crossfire this year. Beijing has realized that it has leverage in this sector and is clearly not shy about using it. This move could pressure Washington to make further concessions in ongoing talks, such as tariff reductions or relaxed U.S. export controls. So they're kind of taking a move out of U.S. playbook, trying to find where they have leverage and use it to negotiate tariffs, pretty much, and that's the rare earths. China has leverage from the rare earths. It says China accounts for about 70% of the global supply and has repeatedly used the critically needed minerals as a bargaining chip in trade discussions. So that's what they're doing right now. Now let's get to the U.S. part. U.S. is angry. Said, you know what? We got to respond back. And this is what happened. On Friday, he's placing an additional 100% tax on Chinese imports starting on November 1st. So they already have a 30% import tax. And now they have 100% additional over the 30%. So now we have 130% import tax on China starting November 1st or sooner, potentially escalating tariffs rates close to levels that in April, which is this chart I just showed you a few minutes ago. So this will fan fears of a steep recession and a financial market chaos, financial uncertainty. And one last note, the U.S. also said they may respond by putting their own export controls on any and all critical software from American firms. So you know what that means, right? They could put some export controls on the king of all, NVIDIA. So that's huge. Other semiconductor companies as well, but NVIDIA for sure. It's possible that this may lead to negotiations or retaliation that could foster new fears about the stability of the global economy. Not just the U.S. economy, but the global economy. So this news is pretty huge. It really is pretty huge. That's why you're seeing after hours just keeps dropping. Like SPY, it was at 647 last time I looked. Now it's at 646. So everybody is affected from this. More so AI, tech, semiconductor, and automobiles. But even the stocks that aren't within the sectors I just said will be affected because, this can drag the economy down. So housing, everything else, etc. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend where negotiations happen, will the shutdown end, will we get some data reports soon? What's going to happen? So next week is going to be a wild week. Will we go down more like we did in March, April? We got to find out. But if things don't recover, we could have a sharp decline in the whole market. People might start shorting. So we got to find out. It's going to be interesting next week. And we can think about this all weekend, right? Join the Discord. We'll talk about this in the Discord. It's in the bio, in the profile. And if you can't get in, leave a comment. I'll get you in there. And leave a comment also if you have any questions. Subscribe, like, comment. Take care.